Welcome to SportsCenter on YouTube. Alongside David Lloyd, I'm Ryan Smith. Free agency is rolling in the NBA. We'll have more with Woj in a minute. But first, big stuff happening in the WNBA.
At the risk of overselling this, we got a really juicy matchup in the W. Caitlin Clark and the Fever visiting A'ja Wilson and the Aces tonight, 9:30 on ESPN. Let's go into this. Halfway through a rookie season, Clark off to a historic start. She's made 56 threes. That's the second most through 20 career games in league history. 6 of those have come from 30-plus feet. No other player has more than 2. On the other side, A'ja Wilson, a minus 550 favorite at ESPN Bet to win her 3rd MVP in 5 seasons. Wilson averaging nearly 27 points a game, on pace to be the most in WNBA history. Clark and the Fever have been the hottest draw in the league. Indiana's games have averaged nearly 16,000 fans, more than double the attendance for games not involving the Fever. And with demand so high, tonight's game was moved to T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. The Aces enter on a 4-game win streak and have won 12 straight against Indiana, the longest active win streak by one team against another.
NBA free agents still cashing in, and in the case of Golden State legend Klay Thompson, moving on. After an historic 13-year run of 518 wins and 4 titles with the Warriors, the other half of the Splash Brothers is now a Maverick on a 3-year, $50 million deal as part of a sign-and-trade. Injuries have slowed him defensively in recent years, and his role was reduced with the Warriors last season, but he did still average just under 18 points per game and 3.5 threes last season. So Woj is here with us now with the latest on free agency. So I think it's a shock to hear that Klay Thompson is now a Maverick, but I guess many expected it. He decided to leave the Warriors where he won those 4 titles. Now that he's made that decision, how do you see the Mavs, or how do the Mavs see him fitting in with Luka and Kyrie?
Well, certainly start with his shooting, and you saw that especially in the NBA Finals. This is a roster that needs more shot making around Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, and that's a big part of what attracted Klay Thompson to Dallas. He could see exactly how he fit in there, the role he's going to play on the court, and that he's going to get more open looks in Dallas than maybe were available to him at the end when the floor spacing wasn't as strong anymore in Golden State. And what he believes he can bring to that locker room, an understanding of what it takes to win championships, the leadership of having been a part of 4 of them and being able to impart that on a younger Mavericks team, that really appealed to Klay Thompson.
Yeah, and you talk about the 3 shooting. Look, last year, 3.5 threes a game. Again, 5th in the NBA, so he's still got that shooting stroke. Now, plenty of free agents still remaining out there, including DeMar DeRozan with the Bulls. What's the latest on who might be interested in him?
Well, I think there's interest in DeMar DeRozan, but the kind of contract that he might want just is not going to be available. It's not left out there in the marketplace. The Bulls are more than willing to work on a sign and trade agreement to get him the years and money that he might want. But they're just, with the new salary cap rules, those are much more difficult for teams to do. The Lakers have interest. How do they acquire DeMar DeRozan? That becomes a much different scenario. LeBron James has talked about a willingness to take significantly less money to open up their mid-level exception. I think in DeMar DeRozan's case, and it may not be as appealing to him, but it may look like a 1-year deal somewhere. Let the market reset next year, because if you do a sign and trade, it's got to be at least 3 years, and now you're locked into a 3-year deal at a number you may not like. The Lakers are interested, but is there a mechanism that would allow them to create a slot to acquire him? That's going to be the harder part.
It's tough. When you give out the big money, there's not always money left for a guy like DeRozan, who was an all-star recently, but we'll see what happens with him. All right, Adrian Wojnarowski with the very latest.
After the Americans' early exit last night from Copa America, you could say the U.S. is going home. But, hey, they're already home. As the host country, this is like throwing a dinner party and then leaving your own house before the main course. A hugely disappointing result from the USMNT, fueling some serious questions about the direction of the program moving forward with the World Cup on the horizon. Here's Alexis Nunes with a postmortem on the Americans' short, unhappy run at Copa America.
Following the 1-0 loss to Uruguay in the group stage of the Copa America, coach Greg Berhalter said that it was ultimately the Panama game that let them down. He still believes that this is a side with a lot of potential, but they simply didn't show it in this tournament. The players themselves also were left ruining many missed chances in this tournament.
The intensity was good in the first half. I think that needs to be the starting point of every game, and the mindset going into a game and starting off like that and trying to carry it on the whole game.
I mean, we got into places where we could hurt the opponent and just didn't. And I think, you know, we need to defend our box better. We need to defend set pieces better. And we need to do a little bit more to threaten the opposition goal. So can't fault the effort that we put in every single game, in every facet of every single game. But at the end of the day, we look at ourselves in the mirror and when we know it wasn't good enough, you know, on home soil.
The Panama game, that's the easiest answer. I think when you leave games in the hands of other teams and you're searching for results, it always becomes very, very difficult. It's a little bit of a learning curve still, and we're trying to measure ourselves against the biggest teams in the world. I think we did well tonight, but again, I still think we just came up short against Panama, and that kind of affected us.
U.S. Soccer will take about a week to review the team's performance at this Copa America, after which they'll have to make the decision of whether or not they will stick with Greg Berhalter for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. In Kansas City, Alexis Nunes, ESPN.
Things certainly not trending in the right direction for the U.S. men's national team. The United States has lost 5 times in a 9-match span for the first time since 2018. And last night they failed to score in a competitive match for the first time since November of 22 against England in the World Cup. The U.S. set to co-host the 2026 World Cup with Canada and Mexico. The U.S. better get this figured out awfully quick. We have a co-hosting World Cup that we're doing in 2 years. We got to figure this out.
Yeah, what are they going to do with their coach? What's going to happen with the team? A lot to think about.
How are we going to get some goals? That's a good thing, too.
See you soon.